All right, great. Thank you. So hopefully everybody can see my screen here. Basically, what I'm going to do today is walk you through the process of using PeerReview Complete to review several types of artifacts. And part of that process is to actually start the review. So the first thing you need to do is create a new review. Here we have some basic information. We can enter in some title and overview information. We have our participants section. We can see we have an author, who's Bob Evans. We also have a reviewer, that's myself. Now you can have as many reviewers here as you need. And then there's also one other role that you can utilize, which is an observer role. And it's a great way to involve junior members of your team and also keeping other folks in the loop. And it doesn't actually allow them to impact the workflow of the review, but does allow them to participate and stay up to speed. As we move on down through here, we also get into the materials section. Now to save time, I've preloaded several different types. And as you can see, we have requirements docs from Doors, we have a model from Rhapsody, a test plan from Quality Manager, and source code from Team Concert. Now these artifacts are all part of an automated meter reader system project that is designed to gather and report on water consumption data. So we're going to take a look at those docs as we go through this review process. So the next step is to apply and begin the review. Now this actually sends or tells Justin, hey, you need to participate in a review. So Justin is notified as the reviewer that he needs to perform a review. So I'm going to slide in another browser window here. And we're now looking at Justin Collier's browser. He is, of course, our reviewer. Now Justin's going to be notified or could be notified in several different ways. One is via email. Another, he can attach to an RSS feed. And also, if he's in the browser here, it will update and show him that he needs to participate in a review, and we can see that here. So let's go ahead and do that now. So Justin is going to see the same information that Bob saw, and Bob has defined all of our general information here. He can see other participants and also all of our review material information. So let's start by taking a look at the model. So we click on the model, and what we can see here is all of our model information. We've got our simulation panel over here, and one of the things that I notice when I start to look at this is we're missing some leak detection information. If I recall correctly, we had leak detection as part of our requirements. So one of the nice things about this is because of all of our files are actually part of this review, I'm going to actually skip to the next file, and we can see here our requirements doc. And if we go down to page 13, we can see that the water leak detection is part of the requirements, and we saw that that was missing off of the model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a push pin on this document, and then I'm going to make a comment about that push pin. Just say, leak detection information. And this will just kind of flag that inside the requirements document on page 13 is where we have that leak detection information. And so that way when I do pass this back over to the author to go address the model, he'll be able to reference this doc as well just to verify the part that he missed, and he could read it in greater detail. So we're actually going to submit this comment here, and we're going to go back to our previous file, which is our model. And we're actually going to create an issue here. So instead of a comment, which we did just a moment ago, we're going to track this item as an issue. And we're basically flagging this as something that has to be addressed by our author, Bob, before we actually sign off and complete the review. So we're going to do that here. Missing leak. So we'll just put missing leak detection. We notice here we have a couple of drop-down menus. Now these are custom fields that you can modify to meet your needs. And we've got severity and type. I'm just going to choose one at random here and submit this as a new issue. So now we've tracked or placed a comment on our requirements document. We've tracked an issue that needs to be addressed by our author as part of the model. And if we continue to move forward here on our files, the next thing that we see is our test plan. Now, since we are noticing the requirements docs have leak detection, we also know that we're missing off of our model, we're going to track an issue here just overall on our test plan that says, hey, add leak detection to tests. And again, severity and type drop-down menus, and again, we're just going to select these at random, and we'll click submit as a new issue. So that walks through several of the different file types that we've got attached, and we've got one more file, which happens to be source code, and we can see that here. Now, source code operates a little bit differently than the other documents that we've reviewed up to this point. The documents we've reviewed up till now, the way that we track issues and comments is via push pin. With the source code, we actually do this by line. We can see we've got our line numbers out here. We can make a comment by line, so we can select a line and just say, something like, nice job, or whatever it is that we want to track a comment against, and we can submit that. Now, we can also track issues just like we did before. And so we can scroll down through our file, and here we can notice, oh, wait a minute, on line 51, this should have been not equal to null as an example. So maybe we're going to add this as an issue. So we'll say this needs to be not equal to, and we'll submit this again as an item here. We'll just pick one at random, and we'll submit this as a new issue. So now we've also reviewed our source code, and again, this is all being tracked by line. And these issues that we've created are all items that we want to make sure our author goes and fixes before we actually sign off on this review. So as a reviewer, my next thing that I need to do is click Done, and then scroll down to the bottom and say Finished. And this is basically now at this point telling PeerReview Complete that it needs to submit the review back to the author, so that way the author can address the issues. So let's do that now. And click Finish, and we'll slide this out of the way, and we'll go back to the author screen. So now we're seeing the author screen, and all of this information over on the author screen is updating and refreshing automatically. We can see all of those issues that we've filed. We can see the review materials section have those issues listed out as well. And we'll also notice these little yellow icons here, and these are notifying us that we have unread comments about each one of these files. So let's go through all of these files. So we'll open up our model, and we can see that, okay, wait a minute, I've got a push pin here, and it's been flagged as an issue, and we're missing leak detection. Now, one of the things that you can do within these files is you can actually click here, and it would automatically jump you over to that item, and we'll demonstrate that as we go through. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this fixed, or read rather, I'm sorry, and we'll go to our next file, which is page 13. So we'll click on that. It'll automatically jump us to page 13, where we see our water leak information. So we'll say, okay, yeah, we've got to make sure we add leak detection, and here it is in the requirements document. So we'll mark that as being read. Skip to our test plan, and here what I might do is, let's pretend that this test plan has already been updated with the appropriate leak information. And so what we'll do is we'll just respond to Justin's previous statement of the fact that we need to add a detection test, and we'll just say that this has already been done. This has been done, and so we're basically just commenting against his issue and saying this is not technically an issue, it's already been attached here. So we'll just submit that as a comment. Now again, Justin's going to be notified that he needs to go ahead or that item has been added here. So, but we'll show that here in just a few minutes. And then the last file that we want to take a look at is that source code, and we can see on line 20 he just made a nice comment about what we had done as an example, and then down at line 51 we actually see an issue that we need to go in and address. So we'll mark both of these items as fixed, or I'm sorry, as read, and then the next step as the author is I need to go address those files and actually make changes. Now I'm actually going to add the updated and change files here in the background, so I'm just going to do that very quickly. And attach those files. Now, those files have been attached to this review, and it's refreshed here automatically for us. And we now see that these review materials, we've added a new model as well as updated code here, and we can see that those items have been reworked. So if we scroll down, now that we've addressed those issues, what we want to do is say, hey, the issues have been fixed, let's proceed to verification. And so we'll click that. Now this notifies the reviewer again that he needs to return to the review and check on the items that have been updated by our author, Bob. So I'm going to slide the browser back in here. And we have Justin's screen again. He's our reviewer. And we'll click View and drill down into these files. So just like on Bob's screen, I can see that these have been reworked one time. So we'll go ahead and take a look, and oh, I can also see that I've got an unread comment that I haven't read. So we'll take a look at that here momentarily as well. So we'll click on our block model here. Now one of the neat things about this is we actually have overlaid these two different files, one on top of the other. And in our first file, we didn't have any leak detection, but a second file has been added. And I can use the scroll feature down here at the bottom, and it basically phases in our other diagram. And so we can see that that leak detection information starts to become available throughout our model. And so it makes it very easy to detect what has actually changed here. And since the leak detection information has been added to our model, we're going to come in here and we're going to actually mark this issue as being fixed. The author has addressed it like we had asked. So we'll mark that item as being fixed. And now we'll proceed to our next file, which was our requirements doc, and there weren't any issues with that, just a comment. So we're going to proceed on to our test plan. And here we can see that Bob has responded and said, hey, this has already been done. And so because this has already been done, I could mark this item as being fixed, or I could actually just delete this as being an issue. So it's not something that we actually have to fix. So we'll click delete here. And we're prompted to ensure that that's what we want to do. We'll click OK. And this will delete this defect for us automatically here. But it does flag it as being done here within the chat, so we could always go back and run a report later on to find out that an issue had been deleted. And now we'll proceed to the next file. And here we have our source code. Now we can see that some additional changes have been made to our source code more than what we had pointed out. I mean, previously we had only made a statement that said, hey, this is, you've done a nice job, and we had also flagged an item here on line 45 as being an issue. But we can see that more has been done. We can see here in red, these items or lines have been removed. And if we scroll down a little bit further, we can see that some code has actually been added here in green. So it will automatically flag all of that information for us. Another thing that we can see is what was at line 51 at one point is now on line 45. And you can also see that our comment and issue information has automatically been moved with that as well. So it makes us very easy to see what had occurred prior to the changes and now where we're at within this new document. We can also see here that the item has been fixed just as we had requested the author to do. Now, one of the other things that I want to showcase here, and I'm going to have a couple of screens up side by side. I'm actually going to drill back into our review, and I'm going to open up our source code here as the author. So the author is seeing the source code here, and I'm going to open up the reviewer screen. And so we've got the author on the left and the reviewer on the right. One of the nice things about the tool is I can come in and make comments, maybe as the reviewer here. Thanks for fixing. And we can submit this as a comment. Now, our author is also going to be getting this update automatically. So it's a chat session back and forth about the code that we're looking at. And so we can go back and forth and make comments and communicate with one another basically real time here as we're looking at documents, whether we're looking at this code or we're looking at our requirements docs. We can go back and forth and communicate. And that's if we're all online at the same time. If we're not online at the same time, maybe we talked about different geographical locations. Maybe I'm working here in the States and I've got a team overseas who doesn't come on or start for another several hours. They are simply just going to have these items available to them as they come in. So the next time that they log in, they'll see all of these comments in yellow, letting them know that, hey, this is where you left off the last time that you read this file. So I just wanted to take a moment to make sure that we showed how this chat session feature works. So let's go back over here to our reviewer screen. As the reviewer, we can see that the item the author, we had requested the author to fix, has actually been addressed. So we're going to go ahead and mark this as fixed. And now we have reviewed all of the different files here within PeerReview Complete. So now I'm going to click Done as the reviewer. And the last step is for me to say finished. All of these issues have been fixed, and we're ready to close out this review. So I'll click Finished. And as we can see, review number 40 is finished. So that's the process or kind of the workflow of a review. Now, we have done all of this review within the context of the web UI, but I wanted to take a moment to show what that might have been or looked like if we had done that through RTC. And here I've got a screenshot of that since I don't have RTC set up and running right now. But I do have a screenshot. We can see just a Java review taking place here, all within RTC. We have not actually left RTC, and all of this information is being captured here. So I wanted to take a moment to show that. In addition, I didn't show this, but we do have integrated reports that track the detailed information about reviews as well as review metrics. And there are tons of filters that allow you to slice and dice that data to meet your needs, so extremely flexible there. And with that, I'd like to turn this presentation back over to Bill, and we'll take some time for some Q&A.